Isaac, Elazar. Hey, it's the grandpa. I'm gonna read you a story. It's called Gilgamesh, the King. It's part of what they call the Gilgamesh epic. Gilgamesh epic means story. The Gilgamesh story. This is not just any story. The grandpa wouldn't read you just any story. This is the oldest story in the world. It was written over 5,000 years ago. That's even older than grandpa. It's the oldest story in the world, like I said. It comes from a place that they call Mesopotamia back in ancient times. Now there's a couple of countries in there called Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Lebanon also is a part of that area. And that's where you are right now, Elazar. Let me show you on the map where it is, guys, and where you are. All right, back again. This is the map of the world. There's America, South America, Africa, Asia, Europe. This part right here where the Mediterranean is, and that's where you went swimming, Elazar. The Mediterranean is called the Middle East. And that's where Iraq and Syria is right now, and Lebanon where you are, Elazar. And that used to be called Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia means land between two rivers. There's two rivers here called the Tigris and Euphrates, and it used to be a very fertile, means stuff be able to grow really well right there. Now here's Europe, and that's where you are, Elazar. So you're not too far from where Mesopotamia was. But Isaac, man, you're way over on the other side of the world, in a place called Washington, Seattle, right? Look how far you are. You gotta go across the whole continent, you gotta go across the whole ocean, you gotta go across the whole Mediterranean to get to where they are. But you're right there, Elazar, and you're pretty close when you're back in Switzerland. So let me readjust the camera again. All right, so this is called Gilgamesh the King. Gilgamesh used to be a king of a city called Uruk, U-R-A-K, and it was one of the mightiest cities in the world at the time. And he had a big wall built around the city, and you can still go there and see remnants. That means parts of the wall still standing after 6,000 or 8,000 years. It was pretty impressive. I mean, look at this guy. He was created by the sun god to be part god and part man. Look at him, he looks pretty bad, don't he? He's even got an earring in his nose. Okay, so long ago, in the land of Mesopotamia, that's, remember I showed you where it was, a king by the name of Gilgamesh was sent by the sun god to rule over the city of Uruk. Gilgamesh was part god and part man. He looked human, but he did not know what it meant to be human. He had power and wealth, but he was not always happy. He had everything except friends. And you guys know how important your friends are. Don't you miss them in school and stuff like that when you're not there? He had everything except friends. He was always alone. Even though, see, when he rode the boats on the river, he had a lot of people rowing and stuff like that, but they weren't his friends. If they're not your friends, even though you're with people, you're alone. So he had these girls shading him from the sun. Looked like a mighty fine ride, but it's pretty lonely sometimes. Because he was always alone, he grew bitter and cruel. One day he decided to show how strong and powerful he was and make the people remember him forever. So it was that Gilgamesh ordered a great wall to be built around the city. Remember the grandpa told you it was a wall around the city? And you can still see parts of it today. Maybe someday we'll be lucky enough to go there, eh? He ordered the men to leave their jobs and families to work on it. He made the women bring food. children were kept away so nobody would stop to play with them. Can you imagine not being able to play with your mom and dad or your friends? At first, the people helped willingly. The king must have a good reason for wanting the wall. Was an enemy planning to attack the city? But as the wall got higher and higher, the people grew restless. How high did it have to be? It went higher than any wall in the world. But Gilgamesh pushed on day and night. Men, strong men, hard men, fainted from food and hunger, from hunger and work. Food grew scarce. The people cried out for mercy, begging Gilgamesh to stop. But he would not listen. He was king. He was powerful. Work on, he said. And in despair, they prayed to the sun god for help. Remember the sun god? He's the one who created Gilgamesh in the first place. There's the sun god in his chariot, bringing the sun to rest at the end of the day. And then in the morning he would bring it up and drag it across the sky. Well, the sun god heard their prayers and ordered the creation of another man just as strong as Gilgamesh. His name was Enkidu. He was made from the clay of the earth. Since Gilgamesh had learned nothing from living with people, Enkidu was sent to live with the animals of the forest. See that? He's living with the animals. Look, he's all hairy. He's wearing a crown with horns on it. And they were all friendly. Even the lion came down and was friends with him. As Enkidu got to know the animals, he learned to care for them. But he did not know human kindness, for he had never seen another person. Well, the first man that Enkidu did see, finally, he did not like. The man was a hunter, chasing animals through the forest, trying to kill them. Why would anyone want to do that, Enkidu wondered. See, he's shooting a lion. His horse is chasing the antelope. Well, Enkidu rushed to help his friends. He threw the hunter from his chariot and rescued the wounded animals. Remember, they said how strong Enkidu was? He threw him right out of his chariot and helped the animals. Even the lion is smiling and laughing at the guy while they're getting away. See, Enkidu is all covered with hair and such. Well, the hunter ran back to Uruk to warn Gilgamesh about the new danger in the forest. He called Enkidu the strongest man in the world. Well, what do you think, guys? Is that a bad thing to say to Gilgamesh? It sure was, man. He was not happy. In fact, Gilgamesh was furious. There is no one, I said, no one as strong as I am, he said. Bring this creature to me so that I can prove it. I will destroy him in front of all the people in Uruk. The hunter said he could not capture so strong a wild man by himself. See, the hunter's begging Gilgamesh, please don't hurt me. I'm just relaying the news. Look how big his palace is, the mighty pillars and columns. So he said, I can't capture him, he's too strong. Then, said Gilgamesh, we will trick him into coming. Take the singer Shamhat, let her lure him here with her songs and charms. See, there's Shamhat right there. She worked in the palace. Now it was said that the only person in Uruk, which is the whole city, who did not love Shamhat was Gilgamesh. And why was that? Why wouldn't he love him? Well, that was because he loved no one. She was the most beautiful woman in the city and the finest singer in the temple. Well, could she tame the wild man? The hunter did not want to return to the forest to be made a fool of again, but he dared not argue with Gilgamesh or disobey him. You know what would happen then, huh? Bad things. Well, okay. The hunter led Shamhat to the place in the forest where he had last seen Enkidu. He left her alone and fled back to the city. Yeah, he's pretty bad, that hunter, when he's shooting arrows at animals. But when he's got to be brave, he's not so much. He left the woman there all by herself. That's not right, right? As night fell, Shamhat played her harp and sang in the darkness. Her voice cast a spell over the forest. Enkidu walked toward the sound and stopped behind the tree. He had never seen anything so lovely, and the music just made his heart slow down. It was so beautiful. He approached her slowly so as not to frighten her. Shamhat saw Enkidu and stopped singing. See, when he approached her, he's like an animal, so he could sneak up on her. Even the birds were singing with her. The animals, they loved their music too. She was so good. Well, Shamhat saw Enkidu and stopped singing. He looked more like a beast than a man. Remember, he's all covered with hair and such? But she knew that he would not harm her. No one ever looked at her with so much tenderness and love. In the days that followed, Shamhat taught him to speak and to sing, and she fell in love with him. See, it's not always how a person looks, it's what's in their heart. And Shamhat found out that Enkidu had a good heart. They explored the ways of love together, and Enkidu promised he would stay with her forever. Shamhat was frightened. Enkidu must not go near the city of Uruk where Gilgamesh was waiting to destroy him. But Enkidu refused to listen. He was not afraid. He would fight to the death for her. The saddest moment for Enkidu was leaving his animal friends. They gathered to watch him go. See, they're all getting together and they're sad. But they could not understand why he was abandoning them, and he could not explain. Remember, Shamhat taught Enkidu how to speak the ways of humans. Once you learn the human language, you lose the ability to talk to animals. So they couldn't understand why he was going, or why they couldn't understand what he was saying anymore. Whoa, look what's waiting. Gilgamesh on top of the Great Wall. He don't look happy, does he? Yes, indeed, man. He's looking for Enkidu. Every day, from morning until dusk, that means at night, dusk, Gilgamesh watched from his tower on top of the Great Wall of Uruk, waiting for Shamhat to return. Everyone in the city had heard of the wild man who might come from the forest and save them from their cruel king. Gilgamesh knew what they were thinking, but he would kill that stranger in front of all the people of Uruk, so no one would think of challenging his rule again. Looks like he means business, don't it? Well, Shamhat was worried. Could Enkidu defeat Gilgamesh? What would the people think of this wild creature? To make him more like other men, she cut his hair. See? He looks more like people already, cutting their hair. And she tore part of her robe to cover him so that he wasn't all naked, showing his bum-bums, you know. But Enkidu kept his horned crown on his head in memory of his animal friends. He couldn't talk to him anymore, but he was not going to forget him. Shamhat pointed to Uruk in the distance. See the beautiful city and the walls around it, built on cliffs? Enkidu was dazzled. He had not imagined how beautiful a city could be. Boy, don't that look fine too, you know? Imagine all painted up and the sun shining on it. Just bounced back the reflections. The next morning, the people gathered to watch as Shamhat and Enkidu approached the gate. See, they're approaching together. Gilgamesh had ordered work on the wall stopped for the day, so that all people could see his victory. He stood on the top of the wall. There he is, right up there on top of the Great Wall, and shouted at Enkidu, "I am master of this city and its people. No one enters without my permission. I dare you to come up here and fight me." But Enkidu, he didn't have to go by the gate, man. He was trained by the animals, remember? He climbed up them walls just like a squirrel climbs a tree. Get it to the top of the wall. He said, "I am ready," he shouted back. Look at them, man. They're trashing each other. They're saying such bad words that knives are coming out of their mouth, eh? Well, it was the most frightening battle the people of Uruk had ever seen. They fought for hours. The earth shook and lightning flashed across the sky as if the gods themselves were fighting for the control of the world. Enkidu and Gilgamesh were equal in strength, and neither was winning even after all that time. Then suddenly, Gilgamesh stepped on a loose stone, stumbled, and fell over the edge of the wall. Remember, it's a great, great wall, and how far it is to the ground, you know that's not going to feel good. He's going to get hurt. Everybody figured Gilgamesh was done, man. It happened so quickly that people watching could not believe their eyes. But to their amazement, Enkidu, quick as a cat, reached over the wall, grabbed Gilgamesh by the arm, and raised him to safety. Now Gilgamesh was a big man, but remember, Enkidu was strong as an animal. Why? Why had Enkidu saved him? Enkidu had won. Why would he save someone who was trying to kill him? Gilgamesh stood on top of the wall facing Enkidu. All the people held their breath. What was going to happen? Would they resume fighting? Gilgamesh took a step toward Enkidu, stopped, opened his arms, and embraced him with a mighty hug. Enkidu, the king, finally understood what it was to be human. He was no longer alone. He had found a friend. And that's why you give hugs to people that you care about. Let them know that you do care about them and that we're friends. And they're a great help in the world. Well, hey man, the people were happy. Their king turned out to be a human after all with good feelings. The celebration went on for days. Shamhat was chosen to lead the biggest parade that had ever taken place in Uruk. There she is right there, singing and dancing. Oh, there she is in the cart, being carried along. She's playing her harp. The guy with the drum is in front there. They're playing the cymbals. Some of Enkidu's animal friends are there. The army, of course, has to march. Gilgamesh and Enkidu, now brothers, watched and waved from the top of the Great Wall. Here they are on top so you could see the whole parade. Best seats in the city, right? Gilgamesh ordered work on the wall to be stopped forever. Fathers and mothers were reunited and danced with their children in the streets. Gilgamesh invited everyone to a great feast. It was the most magnificent celebration and party in town. Ever. A new peace settled over Uruk. On quiet evenings, Shamhat liked to go out on the river with Enkidu and listen while he and Gilgamesh planned how they might make the city a happier place. Then she would play her harp and sing for them, proud that she had brought them together. As her voice floated across the water, the people of Uruk paused to listen, and they were grateful. Here they are on the boat. There's Gilgamesh and Enkidu. Enkidu, I don't know if you can see it, but he still has the horns crowned on his head in honor of the animals. Remember, they had two rivers they could go up. Remember, the Tigris and the Euphrates, all around the city. It was nice. And Enkidu remained friends for a very, very long time. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story, guys. There's other Gilgamesh stories. I'll try and dig them up. But I had fun reading it. I hope you had fun listening.